Should be going live. What's up, everybody? How we all doing tonight? We are back with another live watch along, and tonight we have a special guest. Shout out to NikNBA in the center for joining us tonight and hopping on Celtics Digest for our live watch along, or live weekly live stream, where we'll be breaking down the Celtics free agency. Nick, if you guys do not know him, does a fantastic job breaking down NBA, but also Celtics mainly doing deep dives and looking in at the team's moves in general. If you guys are fans of him and you're here, shout out to you guys for coming through and supporting us. But if you guys don't know Nick, go check him out and go check out his channel because he does a fantastic job. What's up, guys? How we doing tonight?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Hey, glad y'all having me. This feels amazing, bro. So I'm just glad I'm here, man.
Thank you for joining, Godfrey.
Hey man, it's another day. It's another great day to be, to be alive, just living and chilling. So I'm glad you're here, Nick, though, for sure.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah,
and we champions, man.
Yeah, we
champions, brother.
Yeah, exactly. Now, that's the thing. I feel like Twitter still hasn't, even me hasn't really come to that realization. But everybody be talking, and everybody between good morning, Boston Celtics, you're still your champions. We're gonna be riding that high all summer long, boys. I can already tell.
No, for real.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another stream. In this stream, we're going to be breaking down the Celtics free agency moves, looking at some of the targets that they've already acquired and brought back in some guys, but also looking at the possibility of filling that last roster spot. Myself with Nick and Godfrey will go over some possibilities of some guys we like, some guys that we might want to bring back, or the possibility of Brad Stevens, holding that out and just riding it back with that open roster spot. But guys, kind of some big news that happened today that we want to get into is a two-way signing. If you guys did not see, Boston Celtics have agreed on a two-way contract with Jrue Peterson. He'll be back. He picked up that qualifying offer. And now the Celtics have two of their guys under contract, in Anton Watson and Jrue Peterson. I kind of want to kick this to you guys, but what are your guys' thoughts on, Jrue Peterson getting acclimated to this team and also, being there on a two-way spot?
You can go first, Godfrey.
Well, I like the signing, It's obviously a two-way contract, so it's not really like something that we're going to see, but I want to see his progression into Summer League and how he plays, because we obviously know our Summer League roster hasn't been finalized yet. So just seeing how he's going to play into that role during Summer League is what I want to see more. And I want to see him play more, obviously.
Yeah, I like Jrue coming out of
I can't help you on this.
He went to USC. He's tall, he can shoot. And yeah, he didn't play a lot. I remember there was a game against the Clippers where we blew them out by 30. And he came in and he shot it. So yeah, he's a tall guy, he can shoot. He's about 6'9". So if he can just play and like you said, just see how he comes up as a player, I'm down for it.
That's what I'm saying. I know there's not some standout potential when looking at a guy in Jrue Peterson. He hasn't really cracked that rotation. He's obviously got to fight for his spot, but it is nice to see that the Celtics are looking to fill out those two-way guys alongside with Anton Watson as well. Now, as we know with this Celtics team, they are strapped up to the salary cap, baby. Blick Gruzbeck, perfect time to try and sell this team because he is cashing all in with throwing all his chips into the bag. We obviously see Holiday, White, Brown, Tatum, Porziņģis coming back. There have been some more additions to this graphic. Obviously, Tillman has been brought back. Cornette, and Kate have been brought back. But that one guy that's still out there is O'Shea Brissett. We did talk about how today we saw this update where O'Shea Brissett and Kyle Alexander being released from Team Canada training camp, with Brissett focusing on securing a deal in free agency. So that kind of leads to my part to kind of asking you guys this question here. Start off with Godfrey. First off and foremost, when you look at the Boston Celtics and you hear that news with O'Shea Brissett, we obviously know he's trying to get a long-term deal. That's why he's in free agency still at this point. Or else he would have come back. Problem was most likely on a vet min. What do you think O'Shea Brissett is going to make for a decision?
Well, I don't think he's coming back because I feel like if he was gonna come back at this point, he would have already signed for the vet minimum. Obviously, I could see him going to one of those rebuilding teams where he was gonna get a lot of playing time. I just don't think at this point anymore that he's gonna come back and play for the Celtics. We might have to be looking elsewhere for that last spot.
I think he wants to come back in his heart, but I don't think that contractually the Celtics are in a place to offer him something that he wants. Tillman, which I'm pretty sure, but he signed for a minimum for 2 years. I don't think O'Shea would do that again. So I love O'Shea. I'm pretty sure he loves us, but yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I don't think he's coming back either.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I think he brings a nice versatility of skill set that the Celtics lack with that, switchability defender who can basically guard 1 through 5, can play the small ball 5, dunk threat, high energy offensive rebounder as well. Like he brings that spark off that bench, and I like that he was attributing to that. But you guys brought up that valid points. $2 million for O'Shea Brissett. I think he can command, even double that on the market. Even if it's $4 or $5 million, that's still worth at least something for a guy who's worked through the G League. Started out with the Toronto 985, then went to the Indiana, worked up his way with the Mad Ants to the Pacers. He's gonna want that contract to make sure he can set himself and his family up long term, like money wise, and because he already got his ring as well. That's kind of my take on it.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, so I definitely think he's not gonna be on the team. And also like Svi, I think he's also gonna I know this is a player that we always forget about. I think he's gonna I've seen a report where he might play overseas. I could see him he definitely has a bunch of options or going overseas as well. But I know O'Shea, he's definitely gonna be on another NBA team next year. Definitely.
Yeah, I was thinking, I don't know their rosters, as far as the players, but Charlotte with Charles Lee, a team that's pretty young. Charles Lee is a guy that, talks about him a lot. So maybe he likes O'Shea enough to bring him onto a younger team. But yeah, I don't think he is. I don't think he's gonna come back, unfortunately.
Yeah, and you brought up a valid point right there. We saw Charles Lee have his introductory not introductory press conference, but his first workout really today with that Hornets squad, and he already brought over some great minds from this Celtics coaching staff already. He brought over Blaine Mueller from the G League head coaching staff. He brought him over to Charlotte. He also, I'm blanking on the name at the moment, but Jack Simone wrote an article on one of the guys that he brought over as well. So there's some Celtics coaching staff going over there, and I think that that's a valid point. He likes O'Shea Brissett, and O'Shea Brissett could kind of fit in with that Charlotte team when you realistically look at it. He's a high energy guy. He can kind of be that role alongside maybe a Grant Williams, and they have a hole at that 3 center spot too. Like Brandon Miller, plays the 2-3. They got trying to
They
think
just
off the
drafted
top
a
of my
kid
head.
too.
Oh yeah, Saloon or whatever.
To John Saloon or something like that.
Yeah, he plays the wing
3-4.
position.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously the Miles Bridges, we obviously don't know if he's going to be returning back to them as well. They don't really have any depth positions really there at that 3 spot, so I think O'Shea could kind of go there, and maybe this is the team that he could work up that role. Kind of bolster that for him to maybe even the next season get even a bigger contract or something like that, or even a bigger role to where he's playing 15 minutes per game or something.
Yeah, and hopefully his shot can come back, because I remember when he was with the Pacers, he was shooting 40%, and his shot I was like, wait, I thought this brother could shoot, but then he did he was, so I wasn't tripping, but I was like, damn, I thought he could shoot. So yeah, hopefully he gets everything. I love the guy, so I wish him well.
Same here. I used to watch him. I watched him all the way at Syracuse, went and toured there, back when he was playing with Matthew Moyer and all back in those days. And yeah, the Tyus Battle. Shout out to O'Shea Brissett. But someone that you mentioned over Nick, was Xavier Tillman. Now, I know I'm a big fan of Xavier Tillman, and I know you are a big fan of Xavier Tillman as well. What is your thoughts on that initial reaction? Because him signing for the veteran minimum, that just screams to me that he valued winning and having an opportunity over going and trying to fight for that role.
I also valued Brad Stevens, because how the hell did he do this? I don't know, man. Tillman, I don't want to say he's the best switcher, as far as big man, but he's top 5 at least in the league, and that's not slight. So it's him signing for 2 years at that on a minimum contract. Listen, if he can shoot at any point, this is gonna get scary, bro. I'm trying to tell you, get him on that Grant. I forgot what year this was, but Grant, he couldn't shoot at all. He was like 25%, right? And then he came in, he lost all them pounds, shot a lot of shots, and he was a shooter now. If Tillman can get on that same program, I promise you, shit gonna get scary, bro. So I love Tillman. I'm glad we was able to get him on a minimum, and he will be important because Kristaps is gonna have some time off. So him, Horford, and the two other guys, I'm pretty sure that we'll talk about. They will be very important this upcoming season.
Godfrey, what are your thoughts on the Tillman acquisition?
I agree. He's one of like the most underrated defenders in the league, especially with his switchability and being able to just play some amazing paint defense. I definitely think I'm surprised he actually came back for the vet minimum or like a little bit over, but I'm like I couldn't even believe he came back, but I'm happy. And if he can just develop like a corner three, because I remember during the finals when he shot that corner three, I was smiling. Like I was like, if he could just develop that at like some rate, like just become like a 32, just an average corner, like 3-point shooter, he could really get like a lot of money in the free agency in 2 years.
I agree. And a guy like Tillman, this is the thing. I think he was severely undervalued on Memphis. Like you look at that Memphis team, they have Steven Adams, they have Jaren Jackson Jr. Yeah, they have some big men already, but they didn't want to extend Tillman. That's the whole reason he was able to be traded to Boston. It was they didn't want to give him that 50 on his rookie deal. So that opened him up to be accessible for other teams to kind of look at him. And when Brad Stevens made that move, I remember vividly saying, like, yeah, he's going to be that Al Horford replacement, like you guys have both mentioned. And I am in the case of put him in the Arbach Center with Al Horford, lock the gym up with some pipes, make sure that they can't get out, and make sure Not Like Us is playing, and just have them shooting in that corner. Just have them because they Not Like Us was the album for the whole playoff run. Every time
Yeah.
they're at the pregame, they're always playing that. So just put them in the corner, just have them shoot those threes, have them get ready to go, and with Kristaps being out, like we know he's going to be out 5 to 6 months. Who knows if that's going to be even longer with the rehab or wanting to make sure that he's fully healthy to come back. Tillman and Cornette and possibly even Kada can be guys that are going to be getting 15 to 20 minutes without sitting out on those back-to-backs. Like they're going to go deep into this bench and utilize them. And I think we're going to see guys like Tillman and Cornette and Kada prove once again that they're worth more than the contracts that Brad Stevens brought them back on.
Yeah, I think talking about Kada, I just hope he's better with his feet this year, and maybe he can develop maybe like a sudden little mid-range jumper, but he's a beast in the paint, and if he can just work on his feet a little bit more, he's gonna be a great player for the future. And he's young too; he's still kind of young, so.
Yeah, I love Tillman, and with the Grizzlies, he fit there perfectly. So I was kind of like, why they just trade him? But I think what was that? A year ago or 2 years ago, he shot about 27% from three. So it's like on par. But that was a great point that you made. If he starts shooting like 38%, we might not be able to obtain him after that. So hopefully he have a great 2 years here. Kada, I love Kada. The positioning isn't great yet. He can switch. I do like he's from Portugal, right? So
Yes.
he's quick on his feet. The offensive, but the screening, he's a beast on the glass. So screening that, I seen him shooting a couple times. Not in the wait, I thought he hit a three this year. I might not be.
He might have maybe had a long two or something like that.
Probably yeah, it's probably long
I
too.
could check.
Yeah, so Kada, I like Kada, Tillman. And yeah, and all of them, we're gonna need them because, as you said, Kristaps is gonna be out a long time. So I feel that.
Exactly. And I think like I saw a stat the other like a tweet. It was like, how did Brad Stevens do this? It was like all the Celtics bench, and I think our payroll of our bench added up to Terry Rozier's like annual contract that he makes. And it's just like so funny that like it's crazy because like you talk about obviously, you know, Tillman and all these guys coming over and helping out is huge on these veteran minimum contracts. Like a lot of people were shocked that Tillman came back on just a vet minimum, and I think Brad kind of had those contracts out there, just like, hey, if you want to come back, you're more than welcome to come back. Tillman, Brissett went to test out the market. That's why Luke and Kata kind of signed those contracts right away.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing also is like Luke, he loves the city. You see him at the parade and all these different events. He was gonna. I just thought for him, he was like someone that was definitely gonna come back, in my opinion. I just had that feeling. When you have that feeling when like there's no chance this player is gonna leave to go to another situation. That was for
Yeah.
Luke, and I think he's a good backup big. Like he's definitely serviceable.
Yeah, that was obvious, bro. He's just having too much fun over here. So yeah, I didn't think he was going anywhere. And yeah, I like him because he can pass. Now I've been questioning if he'll ever get back to shooting threes a little bit because I don't even know what happened. Like he was a stretch 5 and he just like, yeah, I'm never gonna shoot again. So I don't know if that was a Brad thing saying, hey, look, I need you to just screen, pass, you know what I'm saying? So I'm interested in that, but I do love Cornette, Kata, and Tillman. That is a great rotation for guys that aren't necessarily supposed to be like your top guys. That's great depth. So yeah.
I agree with you. Like this team bringing back everything, like you've seen with the Denver Nuggets. Like after they won that championship, they lost Bruce Brown, who I think was a little bit more of an impactful piece than anyone that the Celtics could have lost. You know what I mean? But they also lost guys like Jeff Green, and now you see them lose guys like KCP. With the Celtics, you can see with Brad Stevens and Wick Cruz back, even though they're looking to sell the team and possibly, say see you later, they're still caring about this squad and making sure that this championship does happen and that this dynasty can be in place for the next people to kind of come in here. With obviously, Holiday locked up, Brown locked up, Porziņģis locked up, and with Derrick White and Jayson Tatum getting their huge contract extensions just a couple days ago. Now, when you look at that tax bill, a lot of concerns and a lot of people's, this is kind of going off topic, but a lot of people's concerns, a lot of people I've been seeing on Twitter been freaking out, talking about this tax bill, saying we need to get under the second apron, need to do all these things. I'm in the boat with we're paying this team. We're going with this money. We're taking all the restrictions that come with it. Is that how you guys kind of see it and feel with it too?
I think for our team, it's a good system to go towards, but I know for a lot of teams this is like the second apron has literally killed them, especially in the West. Especially in the West have dealt with like the biggest repercussions of the second apron. So I don't think this year is going to be the problem. It's going to be the years on after when all the extensions kick in. So just knowing that there's a possibility that we could lose, or like, if we want to make a trade and maybe a player wants out, the repercussions with that are going to be heavy. So I think going into next year, it's not really something that I want to think about for our team, but definitely in the future years, it might be something that's going to be very much in our heads.
Yeah, I seen our 2026 tax thing, and Wick is a pretty smart man for trying to get up out of here after that. Yeah, so yeah, but as far as like actually, you can't even think about that shit, bro. Like this is a team that's trying to win championships, like multiple. So anything that you have to go through, you just have to, because Tatum, Brown, Jrue, D White, KP, Horford, that top 6 is, you have to keep them. You just have to. So it's gonna be a lot of money, and I pray to God nobody just like, yeah, I'm out. So that's gonna be really tough to get trades, because we can't even trade 2 players. You gotta it's crazy, bro. So yeah, as far as next year, not really, but 2 years, 3 years, it could get iffy.
Yeah, that's how I'm in the kind of in the same boat. Just screw it all right now. We won the championship. We're in this like win now mode. Let's just keep it going. And we know the Celtics, even as a like popular team and stuff like that, even when they go to kind of dip down a little bit, they're not gonna eventually go rock bottom. They'll be around like the middle, trying to coast and try to keep that weight up there because they want to keep the fans happy. They want to make sure the city's happy. And Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are still young, still growing, still preparing to be these superstars that are gonna continue to dominate in Boston. So I don't see anything realistically like dwindling and hurting them in the future, but it's going to be weird, like you mentioned, to do some of those trades and to try to get some of those guys out because you have guys like Kristaps, Porziņģis, and Holiday, who are getting older. And if you do look to move them in a contract or in a trade, you can't aggregate salaries. You can't, come get two guys for one over here. So you might have to make some lopsided trades.
All the second apron stuff, like reading into it and stuff, it just sounds like a whole bunch of rubbish. But there's a couple good videos, like for someone that doesn't really understand it out there, that I've watched. And just knowing that, like, a lot of the teams, specifically the Suns, I don't, this is so off topic, but like the Suns, they're just kind of shut into this like 7 to play in, like, area. And like it sucks for them because they're still so in the second apron. And like other teams like that, especially like the Lakers, like they're just shut into this being this medium ass team that like really can't do much and like get better players. And like the second apron brings a lot of what's the perfect word? But it brings a lot of teams that can really perform and really have these good rosters, but at the downside doesn't bring a lot of flexibility with cap, which is a good thing, but obviously the bad thing for the owners.
I agree on that. Kind of talking about that Suns. I work for Suns Digest too, so I know a little bit about the Suns. But yeah, James Jones, I don't know, man. That some of the contracts that he's brought in over there have been kind of crazy. I'm just happy that Brad Stevens ain't doing those crazy trades, trading for a guy with no trade clause, $50 million on his deal guaranteed. I'm glad Brad Stevens makes the smart moves. Even though I critiqued the Kristaps Porziņģis move at first, and I was like, damn, I have to give up Marcus Smart. He's my favorite player. For an injury-prone center, it's like started waiting a couple days, a couple weeks. I kind of mellowed out to it. And then once you get Jrue Holiday and you get that replacement basically for Marcus Smart, and you still have basically the same roster just with an impact forward or impact wing forward and center that you've never had since Kevin Garnett, just ultimately puts us over the top. And we saw that throughout the playoffs this year. The Celtics, with Porziņģis and without Porziņģis, they were still going to win those games regardless. But when they had Porziņģis out there, it was just a different team.
Yeah, the Smart trade hurt, of course, man. They hit me like a 12 gauge, bro. But it was Kristaps and 2 firsts.
That's the thing, too. 2 firsts is crazy when you look back at it.
The Grizzlies first was like pick 25 at the time. Brad traded down a couple of times, and that ended up being Jordan Walsh. And then the pick we got from them was also a top 3 protected from the Warriors, which ended up being a 14 pick this year. But we ended up trading that in the trade for Jrue Holiday. So it's like we got Kristaps and Jrue and Walsh for Marcus Smart. So it's like, as a fan, it hurt, but you can't argue with that.
Nah, you can't argue. And it's just crazy that, like, they got 2 firsts for Marcus Smart. Like, you know Marcus Smart's got good value. He's a great player. He's an old reigning defensive player of the year. But you look at what he can bring to a team, and Kristaps Porziņģis and 2 firsts, Brad cooked with that. And then still being able to use that to flip to get Jrue Holiday, which I know a lot of other rival teams probably didn't suspect once Damian Lillard was traded that the Celtics would even be interested in getting that player, was just another big splash. All right. When we look at this team, when we kind of talk about the Celtics here, when we look and kind of are dissecting everything, when you guys think about these moves, what was your favorite move that the Celtics made so far in bringing one of these players back? Like, would you say it's Tillman? Would you say it's Kornet? Would you say it's Keita? Like, just not even for the price point of the contract, but for like the longevity, for the fit. Which one would you say is first? I'll go with you, Nick, first.
Yeah. The comment says, is Keita going to stay in Boston? Yes, he signed a 3-year deal with us. I think they used his non-bird rights because it was supposed to be 2 years, but they took that. They used that to get him an extra season. But yeah, I'll probably say my favorite is Tillman just because, like, I love Tillman and he's a rare breed, bro. He's a rare breed. Switching again, if he can ever get down that shot, like, listen, if it's just like 33, just like it's like 33, it's like that's the sweet spot. And for him to sign for the minimum, a guy that is a top defender signing for a minimum, that's crazy. So yeah, I would go Tillman. Even though I like all of the other ones too.
Godfrey?
I think I want to say all of them. I just want to say just like option C, run it back, because like bringing back this team is something a lot of championship teams haven't been able to do. And I think just seeing that and knowing that we have our compact core all together is the biggest fact of this free agency. A lot of teams haven't been able to do that have won championships in the past, So just knowing that we were able to do that and able to keep our players and be able to sustain, and we're probably going to sustain the pressure that we have, and knowing that we're going to be able to, reach for that first seed in the East and be able to know that we're going to have a favorable matchup in the playoffs, is the biggest thing for me. Is just knowing that we have this continuity with our team and are going to have this continuity with our team for the next few years.
That's a very key point, Godfrey. I think that's the most important point, is having this team together, having all these guys who know their roles, know their style of play, having that just teamwork, and just you see it with the Nova Knicks now being built. You know what I mean? Like having that just understanding of how each other works off each other, and having that companionship will help out so much for this team going into the future and continuing. But I do have a couple questions for you guys, and this is revolving around the last roster spot. So let's kind of go into this topic here. So there's been some talks about the Celtics and maybe filling that last roster spot or possibly not. One of our people in our Discord has been mentioning heavily that the Celtics have normally kept that last roster spot open due to the fact for a buyout option, or possibly if another trade is to happen later down the season, they could swing a player in that deal or something like that for an extra pick. But with these restrictions, Brad Stevens has made it known that the trade was last year. With this being a second apron CBA team, it's going to be hard to make those moves. So I'll ask both of you this question, but do you guys think that the roster spot will be filled, or do you guys think that it will be left open going into the season? Godfrey, we'll start with you on this one.
All right. So in the past, I thought that we were gonna fill the spot, but with signing Jrue Peterson to a two-way deal, I don't think we're gonna fill it, and we're just gonna have these players, Jrue and Anton, just rotate in through the squad to be, on the team during the time when they're not up. Having one of them in Maine, and then having the other one in the Celtics. So I don't think they're gonna fill the spot. I would hope that they do, and probably bring in another big man just for insurance. The one that I was always thinking about is someone like a Dario Saric. And, I just think he would be the perfect fit, I know everyone's smiling, but I just think that that's the perfect fit. And I was talking about him in what's it called? The key 3 free agents that I liked at the time. And obviously the 2 other players I mentioned got really good contracts. So I think, if we do fill that spot, I would want Dario Saric.
Yeah, I don't think they will either, just because they usually keep that open. But the buyout is something that I don't think we'll be able to do that right as a second neighbor team.
Yeah,
So
yeah, unfortunately with the buyout, you can't go over the NMLTE. You can't go over the non-tax PID level. So if we were to buy someone out, it'd have to be under like $12 million, which no one's getting bought out for that type of contract.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I don't think so. I agree with you said, and I have some people too. My centers was Sarge and Tice. I love Tice. I still love Tice. So, but it's like we have a lot of like smaller fives. So like well, not a lot, but Tillman, and then if we have Sarge or Tice, a couple fours I had was Lonnie Walker, who is someone that I wanted to trade for at the deadline so bad. Shetty Osman from the Spurs, a guy I think that could just chill, and if he's called on to play, he can shoot, he can slash, and he's tough. And yeah, those are the guys that I had. I hope they do with some guys that can play, but I don't think they will.
Awesome. I'll get into a couple of those names that you just mentioned, Nick, in a little bit, because I wanted to dive into that as well. But I want to say my piece that I agree with both of you. I think that they're going to leave that roster spot open. I don't think that they're going to go out and get that 15th guy under contract for the Boston Celtics. Like you mentioned, there's some possibilities that the Celtics like to have. They like to have that flexibility. And I think Brad will go into the season with that flexibility. Before we dive into your comments, though, I do want to let Deoxys know he is enjoying your comments, Nick, but I do want to let him know that you can find your boy Nick at NikNBA on YouTube. He doesn't have a name tag because he's a guest on our stream today, but you can go check him out on NikNBA. Does fantastic deep dives of the Celtics in all NBA news. But Nick, you brought up some great names to possibly be that 15th role. Godfrey brought up Saric. You brought up Tice. You brought up Lonnie Walker. You brought up another name in, what was the last? Shetty Osman.
Osman, yeah.
Yep. All 4 of those names have been linked to Celtics, wanted by Celtics fans, stuff like that. So let's kind of dive into those names and kind of explore some some pros and some cons of some of those players. So first, let's talk about Sarge, since both of you guys really like Sarge, both think he could be a good addition. What do you guys think that Sarge could bring to this team as this 15th guy that similarly maybe a guy like Kada or Tillman or Brissett physically can't?
I just think he brings out better floor spacing and just better, he would fit Mazzulla ball, I think, in a perfect way. The way that he can just sit in the corner, he's decent in the pick and roll, and also is just a good shooter from deep, especially from the top of the key and on the wings. I just think he would be a good fit to be. The way I described him in the video was that he's a poorer man's Kristaps Porziņģis. And I think still, I don't disagree with that take, but just knowing that he can still space the floor in the other ways that, a Tillman or a Cornet, because Cornet doesn't want to shoot at the moment, in the ways that these players can't, So I think having that floor spacing would be huge, and I think it would set us apart. He obviously wouldn't play a lot. He would just be insurance, but having a player just like that, like Sarge as insurance, is going to be amazing.
Yeah, so some pros and cons with Sarge. I agree with a lot of things you said. Sarge, yeah, he can shoot, but he can also really pass the ball. He can really pass the ball, and the Celtics centers at some capacity have shown that they can pass, and it's a really important part of our offense. Cons, he's not the tallest center. The rebounds could probably hurt a little bit, but again, he's perfect for our team. He can shoot, he can dribble a little bit. He can really pass the ball, and he might play some forward too. He's a guy that can play some forward. So if him and Tillman are out there, that's a smaller team, but like they're smart. They know where to be. Great position. They can both pass. So, and I want Tillman to play the 5 as much as possible because the 4. I mean, all right. So sorry. He could play the 5 on offense, but if he's the 4 on offense, I don't really like the fit as much. So yeah, I do like Sarge. I don't know how much he will command as far as contract wise. He is a guy that is pretty prominent around the league, but if we can get him for a good price, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think he'd be a great, obviously have to be a veteran minimum extension, so that's obviously like the kind of kicker he'd have to agree to that price. But I think he'd be, you brought some valid points. Great shooter, great spacer, great playmaker as well in with this offense. And I think he could seemingly work with a plethora of our bigs in this rotation. You also brought another guy that I really, really like in Lonnie Walker. Now, you mentioned you wanted the Celtics to trade for him at the deadline. Celtics fans have been screaming for Lonnie Walker for years now to be acquired by this team. I've been high on him ever since he was drafted in San Antonio. He was that diamond in the rough, picked in the middle of the first round from Miami. The U of Miami was very, very talented. Could be, that little like I saw some of like Malik Monk type of game in him, kind of just like really good score, 6-man possible, kind of leading into that ranks. And I'm shocked that Lonnie Walker hasn't taken that jump that we've seen from Malik Monk in the NBA. I think he truly can if he gets to a team that really gives him that opportunity, really gives him that shine. And I think the Celtics could complement that as well. I know that he's a little bit of a guard, wing-esque type guard guy, so we are really filled at that position, but just the fun excitingness of Lonnie Walker being able to play some hard defense, being an electrifying scorer, and just, driving to the rack and showing some force, you would see the aggressiveness come through on Lonnie Walker.
Yeah, I really.
All right. You go,
All right, yeah, I really, as much as I like him as a player, and I've always liked him because of, one, he has a great story. 2, he's just a great offensive player. I just don't know, like, whether or not he would want to come here just for his, ability and being able to play, But I do love him as a player. He's actually one of, like, the best, like, off the bench, just complete scores.
Yeah, that's something else. Yeah, I think he's a guy that wants to play. He's a guy that deserves to play. And I wanted him last year, so I was like, let me just see what he's doing, bro. He was shooting like 40% from 3 last season. I was like, what? So yeah, I don't know what the Nets price would have been for Lonnie, but I thought at any not, but like it wasn't going to be crazy. So I was like, man, we might need that scoring. But now that we're champions and I've seen that we don't need Lonnie, I don't really know how much the Celtics would go to him. So, yeah.
No, I agree. I think maybe a little bit more last year, but I still think he's an intriguing piece, and I think he needs to get the hell out of Brooklyn, regardless of the fact.
Oh
Like,
yeah, for sure.
go out there, get a job or a deal with a team that will give you the opportunity. Because Brooklyn, besides this Mikal Bridges trade where they were gifted 4 first-round picks from the New York Knicks, they've made some questionable decisions in their front office, and a guy like Lonnie Walker deserved to have that opportunity with this Nets team or on another team already. I also brought up another name that I really liked as well, Nick, in Shetty Osman. I know he was mentioned with the Celtics as well last year. He's more of a kind of a 3 and D wing, but I think better on the defensive side and more of a playmaking, kind of just like working with this team. I don't know if he's necessarily that like shooting 3 and D wing, similar as like a Sam Hauser-esque type would be, but more of that like physical and just like playmaking, getting the team set up in the right place and playing some solid defense. Am I like maybe a little bit less on the versatility and aggressiveness from an O'Shea Brissett, but similar to that kind of mold? Am I a little bit right on that?
Yeah, I like the things that Osman can do. In terms of him and O'Shea, he's a better shooter, a much better shooter. O'Shea, like you said, is more aggressive. He's more athletic, but I think Shetty's a more control slasher. So like he's not like, out of place sometimes. But yeah, I would say O'Shea's a better defender, but I do think that Osman, he's about 31, 32 off the top of my head. And he's a guy that's not gonna be complaining about like time and stuff like that. Excuse me. So yeah. I like Osman, Lonnie Walker, and Sarge.
Godfrey, any news, any words on Lonnie Walker or on Shetty Osman?
I think I like said he was also I think he shot just under 40% from three. I'm not don't quote me on that, but he was definitely one of those players that, you can definitely, provide what we need if it was just a spark. Obviously the biggest thing is that these players, they're just a spark off the bench and that's what they need to provide.
Exactly, and I agree. I think that when you're looking at this 15th roster spot, when you're looking at this last roster spot with this Celtics team, it's not a guy that's going to be a key impact player. It's not going to be a guy that's going to be coming out and playing 10, 15. It's got to be a guy that can fit a situation, fit a role, similar to O'Shea Brissett, similar to Xavier Tillman, to just, go out there, be that guy to contribute in the ways that the Celtics need you to in that kind of role. Similar, like Jaden Springer, for example. He's a guy that is brought in as a young defensive promising piece, but when the Celtics call him out there in that last minute and a half to play tough defense and to stop a run, he goes out there and he does it perfect. That's the type of roles and type of players that the Celtics need to look out and get, not guys kind of based on like potential or upside. And I'm glad that they've realized that through the last couple of years, and Brad Stevens has like harped on that as like a major thing with this Celtics team.
Yeah, another guy on the net side, I like Trendon uh
Trendon Watford.
Offer, yeah, he's a bigger type of like he's interesting. I think all right, so I say he's like a smaller Nas Reed because he's like a guy that's like huge, but he can dribble, he can pass, he can do a lot. He can shoot too. Defensively, not a Celtic guy, but he can do a lot of things. Like he's a intriguing player. Him and Lonnie just need to get the hell out of Brooklyn, like you said. Like it's not much that they're doing over there. I hope guys like them, Cam Johnson, Finney Smith, I just hope they get somewhere where they can actually play meaningful basketball.
Yeah, the Nets need to hurry up the DFS and Cam Johnson trades and get that stuff going so we can see all these other trades kind of facilitated and getting through for this other teams around the league as well. All right. Kind of finishing off the stream, I do want to talk about one last topic before we head out, and that is the draft picks and kind of this team, obviously. Now, Nick, you did a little bit of a deep dive in Baylor Sharman in your last video. So if you guys are in the stream, you guys want to check that out, go watch Nick's video on that. He did a fantastic job. Watched over, I think in the beginning of the stream, he said 20 games watching Baylor Sharman, learning all his ins and outs. So he put his time in, so go out and support him on that video. But I want to get your thoughts. Godfrey has kind of broken down and talked about that as well, about our draft picks. I've kind of broken it down, but I wanted to get your thoughts on Baylor Sharman and Anton Watson. Obviously, Sharman coming into that standard contract, Anton coming into that two-way. We don't expect them to play much, obviously, with this Celtics team, but what could you expect from them out of the Summer League or possibly even G League for these Celtics fans?
So yeah, I don't think even though I love his game, Sharman, it's just that any rookie with the Celtics, they're probably not going to play a lot. It's just the team that doesn't need them to play. I think it would be type of like a Hauser type of thing where he was on a two-way, then we signed him. He didn't play that in the next season, but then this past season he played a lot. So yeah, but Shireman, a great shooter. He can shoot any type of shot. 38% from three last season. He great off the ball, off the dribble, shoot off of plays and sets. A really underrated passer. He averaged 4 assists last year. He spent a couple years in South Dakota State. 2021, 2022, his high was 4.5 assists. So he's a guy that can really pass the ball. Great rebounder. Led the Big East in rebounds total, and he was second in rebounds per game with like about 9. And he's a guy that can grab it, he can go, he can push, and that helps Creighton because they like to play fast. So yeah, Shaman, I really, really like Shaman in the summer league. Him, Walsh, Anton. Kate is not a summer league player.
I don't think he can be. I don't think so.
Right. Okay.
No, he can't be. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So yeah, that's good. Great. So yeah, I think that'll be exciting. Anton is my next guy. So I haven't seen a lot about Anton, but I know he shot about 41% from 3. I don't know how many attempts. I assume it's not a lot, but I heard he's a switchable tweener. He's about 6'8", 6'9", I believe. So yeah, I'm gonna watch him too. I'm gonna do the same thing I did for Shaman for him. So yeah, got a couple fun days ahead of me.
That sounds great. I mean, hey, getting those deep dives and finding out about the players, that's like the fun part about doing this. You know what I mean? You get to learn their intricacies, learn their, intrinsics. And then once the season comes and you kind of see them making the plays, you're like, I knew he was going to do that. Or, oh, that looks like what play that he's going to make. And then it makes you understand the game a little bit better and makes it a little bit easier. Godfrey, I know we kind of broke it down and kind of talked about for the stream people, though, what are your thoughts on obviously Shireman and Anton Watson kind of joining this Celtics squad?
I mean, I love the Shireman pick. I surprised he didn't go to another contender type team earlier, like a couple picks before. But I love the pick. He's an underrated rebounder. Like obviously he averaged 9 rebounds per game, and people don't talk about that a lot in his game. So I think that's going to be something that he's going to be able to bring whenever he does play. And Anton, as a lot of people say, he's still unpolished. He's still unpolished. So it's definitely going to be, I want to see how he performs during summer league and to see his strengths and his weaknesses so I can give a more accurate, representation of how I feel how he can play, especially against the tougher opponents, So I want to just see how he's able to play against those better opponents, especially in the summer league, setting. Because he's not going to be one of those players that's going to be playing a lot, especially as a second round pick. So he's going to be spending a lot of time with the main Celtics. So seeing that, knowing that, I just want to get that initial taste of seeing how he's going to play and then making another opinion from there.
I agree, Godfrey. I'm similar in the same boat. I know, Nick, you haven't really watched much of Anton. I haven't really watched much of Anton either. All I really know is what I've seen from Twitter and kind of doing my little initial reactions. I've seen that, he's a little bit of a tweener defender, kind of similar to like the Al Horford side, like versatility on the defensive side I've kind of seen, but maybe not that much of an impact player right away. But you do mention that 40% from three-point range. That does look at a decent clip. And then when looking at Baylor Shireman, I went to Seton Hall, so I obviously had seen Creighton play against and see Baylor Shireman play against me. That team, like you mentioned, is the definition of fast-paced offense. They are ready to go. Ashworth brings that ball up, kicks it to Shireman, and if it doesn't go in, Cockburner is kicking it out, going back up, or kicking it, it's another 3. And Doug McDermott's offense is just boom, 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 boom. And Shireman, there would be nights where I'd be on my TV watching my friends while they're playing in Creighton, screaming at my TV or at the Prudential, yelling and just cussing because I'm just so mad because Shireman just hitting all these shots, and now I finally will be able to witness it on my side. Oh, it's so bittersweet. It's so nice. But I think, like you mentioned, I think he can be that tweener, that shooter, and that guy who can kind of not necessarily make that impact right away, because Brad Stevens already said he's similar to Jordan Walsh. He's going to be in the G League. He's going to be developing this year. But in a year or two, when that Sam Hauser contract, that team option, looks a little bit more team friendly, or looks like a more tradable contract, or the Boston Celtics are, still in that second apron and are still trying to find some guys to replace some holes, a guy in Baylor Shireman could be that guy that's already there learning those roles from the players moving on, similar to like Tillman from Horford, similar to Jaden Springer, learning from Jrue Holiday and Derrick White. And that's something that I really like to see with Brad Stevens in getting these young players as well.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you got it. I was gonna bring up another player.
Okay. Quick thing. You said you in the Seton Hall, right?
Yes.
There was a game against Creighton where went to like triple OT, bro.
Yes.
And
yes.
Y'all best score is Richmond.
Yes.
I was like, bro, he was like 8 for 32. I was like, what is going on, bro? And Shireman, bro, I was like, bro, this is a league ready player. Like, he's not, of course, on our team, he's not going to play a lot, but he's 23. I believe he'll be 24 before the season starts. And those are the type of players that the Celtics want, right? Not guys that have to develop, even though I like Jordan, but he's a guy that had a trait coming in. So guys that have traits or guys that are ready right now are the type of guys that the Celtics want.
No, I agree. Mentioned in that triple overtime game, yeah, that was the worst game I ever watched in my time. I remember I was in my living room screaming at my television because it was just going back and forth. And yeah, Richmond, like you mentioned, 8 for 32, atrocious shooting that night, and Creighton just could not miss. Just kept bringing it back, and it was just going. Sometimes there'd be 3 possessions of just straight misses, and then it would just be swish, 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 and I'm just like, bro, like, oh, it was just painful to watch. Painful. But yeah, no, Shireman, really good. Godfrey?
I wanted to bring up what's it called? The big that we just signed from Cleveland State.
Okay.
He's gonna be playing for on our G League team. Tristan Enaruna. He went to Cleveland State. He was pretty good there. He's like a 6'8" big. He's like I would say Tillman build. Definitely doesn't play like Tillman. Obviously, he's better on the offense, more offensive end polished player. I'm gonna be a very interesting person to look at during summer league. He's not gonna be on the team, but he's gonna be with the main Celtics. But definitely someone that everyone can look after during summer league. Because I don't know the summer league roster isn't polished as much at all. If I don't even know, the only people I know that are on the team for sure is Shireman, Watson, and Enaruna. So just another person for everyone to look at because he is signed to Exhibit 10 contract.
Summer League starts the 13th, correct? For the Celtics, at least? That's their first game? Okay. So we still have 10 days, so we'll still see if it gets announced or something like that. I haven't seen anything either. Is there anything that you know about Tristan, Nick?
Yeah, so I haven't watched him yet, but I have seen he has good size, 6'7", 6'8". He's a guy that can score in those in between areas. He averaged like 19. He's also a good rebounder too, averaged about 7 rebounds. But he shot 50% from the field, but 32% from 3. So he's a guy that scores, not shoot. So he's like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I've seen a couple of his stuff. I liked them from the things that I've seen. Of course, I'll do my own stuff to see if I can, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I liked them from the things that I've seen.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, Celtics got to find those diamonds in the rough as well, especially with being a second apron team. We've already seen with Sam Hauser the potential ability of getting an undrafted guy, bring him into the G League, and then working up to that roster spot. So who knows? Maybe a guy on an Exhibit 10 day could be one of those guys that could be one of those late bloomers for the Boston Celtics that we just don't see happening. I know it could be a little bit difficult, especially with this team having so many players that are already under contract and needing playing time, but there's always the possibility of some guy, sprouting and being some diamond in the rough, regardless if it's in the G League and works his way up or on the main Celtics roster as well. Before we head out, Godfrey and Nick, is there anything else that you guys would like to talk or cover regarding this team? Any topics, anything that you guys would like to go out, just spit it out there and we could take care of it.
There's the comments. Yeah, we can let the comments. Yeah, look at the comments.
Comments? All right, let's look at the comments. Let's see what people are saying. Everybody's been chilling in here tonight. Shout out to everybody in the stream. We've had So I don't know if you guys have been peeping in the stream, but we've had almost around 100 people watching for a majority of the stream, between
Ooh.
70 up to 100. So shout out to everybody that's been in the stream. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting us. We really do appreciate everybody here. Everybody's saying they're gonna chill. Channel rocks. Hit the bell. Got my snack. Thank you, Deoxys. Appreciate you. Pokemon, I'm 90% sure. We could get Brandon Boston Jr. Is that a possibility? Does anybody know? Last time I heard he was on the Clippers. Is he on like a G League two-way? Does anybody know that off the top of their
I
head?
think I'm pretty sure they didn't extend a qualifying offer to him, and he's a free agent right now.
Okay.
Definitely, I remember him more when he was coming out because he was a former he was with what's it called, the late Terrence Clark, RIP Terrence Clark. So he was definitely definitely a good player, but I don't know if we're gonna look that way. I think we're definitely gonna get someone that's more polished in their game.
He'd be more of like a two-way kind of acquisition, anyways, right? For the Celtics, if they were to look at him, yeah. So
I would assume so. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I liked him also when he came out. 6'7" guy who could really score the ball. He was, like you said, he was like a top 5 player coming out in his class. Yeah, he's a more of a developmental piece still. He's been in the league for like a couple years, but he really hasn't found his step yet. Even though I do believe there was a game like 2 years ago against us where he like killed us or some shit like that. So there's always those guys who kill us, but they don't really do a lot against these other teams. But yeah, I don't really think he fits our team for real, so I don't think so.
That's fine. But yeah, Ayo Dosunmu, that is one player that, I mean, he's good in the league, but he always torches the Boston Celtics. And there's a plethora of guys. Karis LeVert, for example. Like, we saw in the playoffs him try to do it.
God.
I went to a game this year versus Cleveland where Karis LeVert dropped 30, and I was like, what is going on? Like, why do I have to go to the games where the role players turn out to be Michael Jordan?
Man, Karis in Boston, bro. Man, I'm spooked when he stepped with his God, man, hey, he be dropping shit. I be like, bro, he not like this, bro. But he love the Celtics, man. He love the Celtics.
Maybe one day we can get him to come over here, maybe on a vet min, and play some fun and get those 30-point games versus other teams at TD. That would be great.
Man, the crazy thing is, he gonna come in and do nothing.
That's how it always be. That's how it always be with the Boston Celtics. They go out, they get that big signing, nothing. And then they go out and find the diamond in the rough, boom.
Yep.
Let's see. Joe Bell, Tillman has defensive savvy. He knows how to stay effective on a position. He knows how to effectively out-position you at the rim. Sorry, I misread that. Kata's 24, full of energy, lots of upside. You can continue talking if you want to talk on that point, Godfrey. Sorry.
What's it called? Tillman, he just like is always in the right position. Every time I see him, he just knows like where to be, especially below the rim, switching. Just one of those great defensive players that I can't believe, any team would be lucky to have a Xavier Tillman. Like, when I tell you, if he just shoots a little bit better, it's really scary. It's gonna be really scary, like insanely scary.
Get him on that grant program, 1,000 threes per day. I'm telling you, he gonna get right, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Take Monsters Inc. When they put the pipes in the room to lock water in South, do that thing. Do that to Tillman and to Horford in the Auerbach Center. Shout out to my dad for tuning in, appreciating the stream. Shout out you. Some sport media saying Tatum and Brown won't be hungry next season for winning this year. Wow. I don't know. I think they're gonna. I mean, I think there's a little bit of pressure taken off from winning this championship. You finally eclipsed it, especially after going out in horrendous fashion the year before, almost winning that game 7, Tatum twisting his ankle, and then, not being able to fulfill that finals run and getting that comeback. But I think now that they won the championship, I don't think that it's, if they don't make we still want to see them win. We still want them to still be at the top. We still want to see them defend their championship. But I think that there's just a little teeny tiny pressure off of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown at this moment for eclipsing that hump at least.
I mean, it's true that, there's definitely a pressure that's off them. But I also know that a lot of teams, there hasn't been a team that went back-to-back since the Warriors. And, there is that, Super Bowl hangover, championship hangover that everyone likes to talk about. So I just hope, once they get rid of this high, get ready for the next season. Especially, Tatum is going to Team USA. So, as soon as you get rid of this high, it's just, get ready and lock in, for this next year. Because obviously it's an 82 game season. So the season's long, and just the constant, everyone's going to be talking, if we start playing bad, everyone is going to be talking and saying what they're going to say. So I think they're going to be just fine, especially because, outside of like all of Celtics fans, Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum are wildly hated for no reason. Like they're some of the two stars that I see that get a lot of hate. And it's honestly because, they play for our team. But, I think since that hate is still going to be around for them, it's definitely going to keep them still motivated.
Bro, that Tatum shit, it could be something just untrue and it would be 25K likes, bro. I'll just be like, yeah, there's nothing we can do about this, bro. There's nothing we can do about this. So yeah, I don't, man, they getting this done was huge, bro. Like, of course it's huge because it's like for like what 6 of the last 8 seasons being that close to just, and then it's like, yeah, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals a lot of times, but now can they get it done? So now we got that off. I think they want to be greater than they are now. Those are two players that they talk about greatness a lot and just trying to be the best that they can be. And I don't think that stops with a championship. It's great to just have it, but I haven't seen any signs of them saying, okay, we have a championship now. Let's just stop. Like, no. But, and Brad is also like, got us like, hey, I don't want this championship too. I want a lot of others want. So him bringing back everybody, it just, the culture of this organization, everybody wants to continue to win.
And that's what we love to see. And you can see it from top to bottom, from the players to the top of front of office with Vic Rusbeck. They want to win. They want to stay relevant. They want to contend. And that's, as Celtics fans, all you want to see. You know what I mean? We had our dog days when they traded Paul Pierce, when they traded Kevin Garnett, when we were waiting for these days of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown to finally be here, to have those picks that finally turned out. And could you imagine if those picks turned out to not be these superstars or this promised land or nice even direction? It would have been absolutely chaos in Boston. It would have been crazy.
I can't fathom that shit, bro. It's all right, bro. I understand where you at.
Deoxys says before the stream ends, he would say he'd like to see Nick join more. Good insight. The three of you play well off each other, and I'm so lucky to stumble on this channel. Well, thank you, Deoxys, for tuning in. I think Deoxys is one of our new subscribers on the channel. But Nick, we might have gained you a subscriber over here, my guy, for hopping on the stream.
I'm with it, man. I'm with it.
Well, let's look at some more of these chats. They asked, what backup guards do you think we could see? I don't think there's any realistically guards. I think we're kind of full at the guard position. That's my kind of take with Holiday, Pritchard, White, Springer. If they didn't bring back JD on that qualifying offer, I don't necessarily know if they're going to be looking at free agent guards.
Yeah, I didn't have many guards. I have like a 3-line of guards, forwards, and centers. I didn't have a guard that I wanted us to look at. So I can look at it again, but like I don't really know about the garbage. I think,
I was gonna say I don't think there's necessarily like a need for a guard really either. Yeah, we're kind of filled at that position. So T Snizzle was here. What's up, T Snizzle? Let's see. T Snizzle's one of our loyal supporters, been through here. What's next for JD? What are your kind of thoughts on that? We obviously know he did not get that qualifying offer from the Celtics, so most likely going to be going somewhere else, maybe to another team. I heard some like possibility of going to Euro League. What have you guys heard? What do you guys think? Nick, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I do like JD. I like them coming out of high school more than I like them coming out of college. Really an elite athletic player. He's a better passer than I thought he was. In those summer league games, he was getting like 10 assists, but he's nowhere near a fitness product at this point. He can't really shoot yet. And he just still needs to he's young, so it's fine. He has time, but he still needs to develop some skills as an NBA player. And I think he's just too far of a project for the Celtics to like prioritize him. Like a guy like Jrue Peterson, he can shoot, which is a great skill to have. Jordan is a defender. He has that trait. And JD, his athleticism is an elite trait, but I don't think it's, something that the Celtics view as like shooting or playing defense. So I don't really think the Celtics bring him back. I hope he has a I hope he gets a chance, of course. But yeah, I don't think it'll be with the Celtics.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that there's been a plethora of Celtics players that didn't work out when their tenure as a Celtic, and that they've had, great careers, outside of it, or good careers. Obviously, yeah, he's too much of a project, and I hope he gets another shot in the league for a team, hopefully for a team that's, rebuilding and just needs a couple pieces, just to build. And so I think, as he doesn't have a chance with us, he might have a chance somewhere else in the league, and I hope he does have that.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I don't think there's much of a way for him to come back, like Nick kind of said and you Godfrey mentioned. It's a little bit more of a project for the Celtics to build upon at this point, especially with their guard depth being so deep already with all these players. Kind of Springer being that kind of guard they want to develop as well. Maybe not as much leaning in Springer, but I do wish the best for him. I want him to have the best opportunities with this team, like you mentioned. He was a very very talented guy in high school, similar, very very like athletic. I saw a mixtape today of top 20 dunks in high school. JD Davidson
Yeah,
was
he was
on
on
it.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy.
he's
Like,
like number 4.
yeah,
I
like
feel like that. He was high.
it's just nuts. Like JD is just such an athletic freak. Like you mentioned, that athleticism is his big trait. And unfortunately, in the NBA, sometimes it doesn't really translate the best because a lot of people have athleticism. A lot of them can be freak athletes, and you got to find some shooting or some defense to add to that kind of trait to solidify yourself in this league. But I do think that he can work himself to either, regardless if it's another G League or to another team's payroll. I think he can definitely get up there as a young developing piece, and I think a team should definitely strike at it. If you're a team like Utah, if you're a team like Detroit, if you're a team like Washington, Brooklyn, might as well look at this, take this, and kind of strike on the gold mine. You know the Celtics can develop good players, and you've seen it before, so maybe a guy like JD Davidson could be that diamond in the rough for their franchise. And then we got here as well the Discord link drop down below. If you guys want to make sure you stay up to date on everything revolving around the Celtics team, hit that link down below. Join the Discord chat. Everything Boston Celtics. Anything else you guys would like to mention around the Celtics team before we sign off on the stream tonight? We went through the chats, broke down the Shireman, broke down Watson, talked about that last roster spot, talked about Peterson getting added as well. Is there anything else that either of you guys would like to cover?
I'm good.
All
I'm
right.
good if y'all good, man.
All right, boys. Well, before we sign out, I would like to say shout out to NikNBA for joining us today on this stream. I want to give him a master fire
Shit.
emoji. There you go, man. Because you deserve it. You deserve it for hopping on and
Appreciate
being a
y'all,
part
man.
of it. I really do appreciate it. We've been so interacting on Twitter. He's a very good guy. If you want to interact, find more NBA content or just Celtics content doing deep dives. Released the Baylor Shireman video today. He's going to do some more on Anton Watson as well. Definitely go check him out as he provides some great deep dives for Celtics content. Once again, we appreciate you for joining us alongside me and Godfrey. But as you guys know, Godfrey and I will be here to deliver all content revolving around the Celtics, regardless of its news, updates, everything around this team throughout the entire offseason. So if you want to make sure you stay up to date, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Hopefully we can have Nick back on here as well as another guest host on another time as well. Hopefully you enjoyed. We really do appreciate you coming out here. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning into this live stream here on Celtics Digest, where we broke down the free agency news, and we'll have much more of it for up to date with you in the future, with more weekly live streams coming as well. Signing off from Bruce, Godfrey, and Nick. We'll catch you guys in the next live stream. Have a great rest of your